Be sure to tune to The Shift Monday to Friday at 12:30 p.m. with Joinae Gibson on Glory 93.9 FM. The freshest wave of glory to hit the Bahamas.
FM. It's 12:30, so you know exactly what that means. You're tuned in and, of course, locked and loaded on The Shift with you. Hi, I'm always willing to bet my bottom dollar that there is absolutely nothing like a smooth transition into the midday. Thank you for all those tuned in via Glory 93.9 FM, all those on Facebook, YouTube, and, of course, our worldwide listeners. I pray that you're having an amazing day today. I have some exciting news that I want to share with you. I am thrilled to announce that Nassau Garages is officially a proud sponsor of The Shift. Thank you, Jay. Right? Their support helps us continue bringing you powerful conversations, inspiration, and of course, life-changing content every weekday. If you are looking for the best, and when I say best, I mean best, in auto parts and repair, look no further than Nassau Garages Limited. They are the #1 auto parts and repair shop in the Bahamas. Y'all can't say I never put y'all on, right? At Nassau Garages, customer service satisfaction is guaranteed. You can give them a call today, right? At 242-341-8643 or visit them online at nassauGaragesLimited.com to book your service or browse their parts selection. And may I add more? For bookings and purchases, you can use the promo code NGSHIFT online or in store for a special discount. Now you can't say I never put y'all on, right? Okay, located on Tonic Williams Starling Highway, and of course, don't forget to follow them on Instagram at Nassau Garages or even on Facebook at Nassau Garages 242 for updates, specials, and more. I want to move right into today's show, and of course, that's Nassau Garages Limited, the premier auto parts and repair shop in the Bahamas, a proud sponsor of The Shift. Right now, we all know, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's a female thing, right? But we all know when something doesn't sound right in our car, and it's usually on payday. It's either it's on payday or it's the day after, right? And we know when something is wrong. We know when, we see that chip on the wall, or, when it's time for us to do spring cleaning, when it's time for us to make repairs, or, for the men to make repairs around the house. When that tile, you see that tile in your kitchen lifting, maybe you need to retile, or maybe you see your fridge maybe getting some rust on it, and that is your indication for a repair. We replace tires, we get new paint jobs, we replace tiles, we replace that old stove, that old freezer. When the freezer stop cooling, you got to get rid of that freezer because you don't want your meat to spoil. But I say all that to say this: if we can recognize all of these natural things, what about the spiritual things? You refuse to repair the breach in your soul and spirit. When we talk about repair, and it's so, fitting with Nassau Garages, right? Because they are about auto parts and repair. In the same way, you can tell your car is not running up to standard. You can tell when your spirit isn't right and needs repair. Who am I talking to today? You may be listening via Glory FM or on Facebook, YouTube, rewatching this broadcast, right? The same way that you can tell when your car is not running right, when you get that check engine light on, when you get that notification on the dashboard, or the more modern cars, something dinging or something saying, okay, well, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Your spirit is giving you signals. Your spiritual check engine light is on. In some cars, they will let you know how much air needs to be in the tire, right? Or if a tire is flat, or if a tire is going down, or if you're too close to a car, or if it's not right or the right time to switch lanes. In the same way, the Holy Ghost is alerting you that your spirit needs a repair, that there is something that needs to just get a little more attention, something that you need to spend more time with, or maybe something that you need someone else's help with. Who am I talking to today? And listen, I promise you, I felt this so deep, so deep in my spirit, because we are concerned so much about natural things. We're gonna, it's approaching Christmas. Yes, I know it's early, but it's Christmas in my mind, right? And we do, the Christmas cleaning. Some persons get new furniture. We paint outside. We pressure wash the driveway. We, do a little gardening. We put down new grass. We make space for the Christmas tree. We make space for the new furniture. We make space for all of these things. But what about when your spirit needs repair? The word repair means to restore something that has been damaged, or something that is faulty, or something that is worn out to a good condition. A lot of times your spirit has become worn out. Your spirit and soul have become damaged with the issues of life, with the cares of life, with the things that you go through. And maybe that damage could have been betrayal. That damage could have been, an unmet expectation. That damage could have been literally anything, or suffering, that infirmity. It could damage your spirit or damage your faith. But when you are or when you are focused on not only repairing external, but repairing the internal, the unseen, it means to restore something that is damaged or is faulty. When you get that new item, and let's say it's a portable fan. Everyone has a portable fan these days, right? And maybe you got it out of a dollar store, and for some strange reason, the spring is loose where the battery needs to go. It doesn't mean that you did something wrong, but it came faulty. So what do? You take it back and you say, well, I got this, and boom, 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 and I need something to replace this. In the same way, you can say, something, God, I am in this state now. I am broken. I am discouraged. I am despondent. There are so many things in life that has happened. Life just be lifing, and it feels like you're not coming to my rescue. It feels like you're not going to move on my behalf. And you're saying, listen, I'm going to give this to you. He said, cast your cares on me, right? Because I care for you. Cast this on God. And you say, something? I need this to be repaired. I need this to be replaced with something else. So that discouragement is replaced with encouragement. What am I saying to you today? Sometimes the work of restoration cannot begin until the problem is fully faced. And that's actually a quote that I found on Goodreads, right? The work of restoration cannot begin until a problem is fully faced. Or in other words, you accept it. Listen, this is a problem. I need to fix it. I need to be repaired. I need to be restored. I need to, get back to my original state, or the state that God would have me in. Nursing or harboring bitterness and envy and jealousy and unforgiveness and anger, the pain of the past, whether we are right or wrong, can be very dangerous for the soul. It can literally cost you your salvation. What good is it for me to talk to you every day, Monday to Friday, same time, same place, right? Every time, and go to a Christless hell because we are harboring bitterness, envy, jealousy, unforgiveness, anger, pain of the past. Furthermore, spiritual repair of our heart is forgiveness. It is when we release these things from our spirit, we can actually receive that healing. The Bible talks about forgive so that you can be forgiven. And I laugh because we love to talk about it. We love to quote the scripture, and it's good to quote when we want to say it to someone else, but it's very non-existent in your vocabulary when you're battling with it too. What am I saying to you today? Today, I am saying, yes, we all need repairs. We have the repairs around the house. We do upgrades. We do upgrades even in the studio, right? Right here at Glory FM, we have upgrades. But what good is it for us to always recognize the external, the physical things, and not address the internal? That is my point to you today. Today, you may be saying, something, Joinae, I have been battling. I feel like I've been stuck. I feel like I can't loose. I feel like I can't shake. Every time I try, it feels like I'm going, 10 steps back. It feels like I'm not, maximizing my potential. And could I say, and I'm going to read this quote to you again, and this is from Goodreads, right? It says, the work of restoration cannot begin until a problem is fully faced. If that problem is maybe, not letting someone go, maybe if that problem is an unmet expectation in a company that you thought that you would be further in, maybe that problem is in your marriage or in a friendship or in a relationship. Maybe that issue is in your church, in your community, in your country. All of these things need to be faced head on in order for repair to happen. What's really tricky about, and I'm going to use painting for an example, right? When a paint on a home, building, wherever, is old, it starts to crack, right? Or there's some discoloration, right? You see like the black or the sun beats on it, so the color is faded, right? But in order to put on that new coat of paint, you cannot put it over a crack and just feel like it's going to just magically be good. You actually have to chip away. I can't remember what it's called, right? Forgive me. I'm just a girl, right? But that thing that it's flat, and they chip away the paint, chip away whatever it is, all the dirt. They have to clean it, prime the wall, then paint it. What am I saying to you? The thing and the pain that you're feeling right now is God chipping away those layers, chipping away those cracks, chipping away that bitterness, chipping away that anger, chipping away that unforgiveness. And as a matter of fact, sometimes we are not angry with people. Sometimes if you are honest, you are angry with God, because as far as you are concerned, he would have come through by now. He would have vindicated you by now. He would have done the whole vengeance is mine by now. He would have caused you to triumph over your enemies by now. And you've become frustrated. And because of your frustration, it caused bitterness and these things to harbor in your spirit. But God says, I want to chip that away. I want to get rid of that. Then once that's done, I can move that garbage. I can prime you. I can get you ready for what I'm about to do. I can get you ready for what I want to do in your life. I can get you ready for this next level. And then I will put in a fresh coat of paint on you. And I know that was a mouthful, but I want you to know that God is concerned about your soul. What will a man give in exchange for his one soul? Don't allow the cracks in your spirit, the cracks in your heart, the cracks in your soul. We could go, thank you, Pastor. We could go on and on. Don't allow those cracks in your spirit to cause you to miss heaven. It makes no sense we address the external. It makes no sense we dress you up, put on makeup, put on your coach suit, and you are going to a Christless hell. It is as simple as that. Address the issue, repair, and progress. I know that that was a mouthful. And I'm so excited to have all of you locked and loaded with me right here on The Shift, officially sponsored by Nassau Garages. And we're going to have a break in a few, but I want to get some comments in. Hey, Jay. Jay is watching from YouTube. Y'all, my pastor's watching. She say, like the hat. Thank you, Pastor. Good day, Pastor Carmen Cornish. How are you? I pray that you're having an amazing day. Of course, shifters, I need you to lock in. If you are in your car, if you are on YouTube, if you are on Facebook, I want you to like and share this show, please. If you're driving, pull over to the side, type to somebody and tell them the shift is on. We are locked and loaded, and I have an exciting show for you today. Very, very thought-provoking conversation, and we need some interaction for this. So please be my guest, like and share the show, share this live broadcast. If you're listening on Glory FM, of course, the call and text lines, they're open. They're in the caption on your screen for those who are watching on Facebook. But of course, for our Glory FM listeners, the call line today is 242-827-2543. And of course, the text line is 242-817-2544. Am I forgetting anything? If you are new here, welcome to The Shift with yours truly, Joinae Gibson. It is my prayer that by the end of today's show, you leave this show feeling inspired, empowered to do exactly what it is that God has mandated you to do and be in the earth. Today's topic, and you'll see it in your caption, right, is, are you stuck or just one pivot away from destiny? I'm going to say it again. Are you stuck? All right? Or are you just one pivot away from your destiny? I want to have a conversation just for a few moments with you with the time that we have together. How are you doing today? I see all of you watching. Hey, please don't be afraid to let me know that you're locked and loaded. Your girl was on a little break, so we give God praise for being back and locked and loaded. I got your texts. I got your messages. Like, Joinae, hello. We can't deal with another rebroadcast. We need to see you live and in color. And here I am, live and in color to serve you. So, of course, without further ado, let's move into today's topic. Are you stuck or just one pivot away from destiny? Have you ever sat down, and I feel like we've all been here, right? Sat down, you come up with this amazing plan. You know, whether it's a business idea, whether it's a plan for your family, a plan for your church, a plan for whatever, right? You come up with this amazing plan. You write it out. You make the vision plain. As a matter of fact, you form a team for this plan, and it fails. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And you start to feel smothered. You start to feel like there is a creative block. Or have you ever had a plan and it started out good? It started out like, okay, this is working. The business is booming. The marriage is working. This friendship is working. This method seems to be working. And then suddenly it just doesn't do what it started doing first. And then you have this thought process in your mind as if, man, listen, my plan wasn't good. I didn't think it through properly. This, just didn't work out for me. My creativity isn't, where I want it to be. And let me just add right there, creativity isn't only for artists or musicians. You can be creative and not be a musician, not be an artist, right? So let's just put that out there for conversation's sake. But I've come to understand and I've come to learn that progress doesn't come in a straight line. Progress or success does not come in a straight line. It's not linear, right? Not for me, not for you, not for anyone, right? I used to think, and please, we listen, we don't judge, right? I used to think that if I worked hard enough, if I followed the plan, if I did 1, 2, 3, all of the steps, that I would end up exactly where I wanted to be. But life doesn't care about your timeline. Life doesn't work that way. Things happen. There are illnesses. There is maybe betrayal, burnt out, job loss, natural disasters. Any of these things can literally flip your world upside down. And sometimes, things don't happen in the timeline that we expect. If you are honest, by now you figured, okay, I would be in my house. By now I would be on a stable job. By now I would be married with 3 kids. I would have this millionaire husband, this wealthy wife, and we would just take the kingdom, take the world by storm. But it just really doesn't work out that way all the time. And I'm not saying that it can't, but I'm just saying that for most persons it doesn't, right? Sometimes the things that don't happen, the goals unmet, the relationship that doesn't work or that stalls, and that can be a friendship or a marriage, or maybe you're listening today and you're newly divorced or was divorced before, and these things can literally cause you just to pause. It makes you I'm not going to say stop, it makes you pause, because you have to take time to reassess. Where is it? And you start to look at the flaws, or try to find the flaws in your plan. I promise you, I'm going somewhere with this, right? I want to say to you today that pivoting is not settling. Pivoting does not mean failure. Pivoting is not, a pivot by definition is just a change in direction, right? Just a change in direction. Pivoting is not settling. A lot of times we fail to expand in our creativity because we refuse to pivot. We refuse to navigate or bend in such a way that it causes us to gain more success. Hear me out. I have a quote here by Jay Samat, and it says, "Pivoting is not the end of the disruption process. It is the beginning of the next leg of your journey." I'm going to say that again. Pivoting is not the end of the disruption process. So it means that things are going to happen, and that's, life happens. But the beginning of the next leg of your journey. A lot of times we equate pivoting with settling, with failing, with something not working. Okay, I have another one. When life, and of course, you're locked and loaded on the shift, right? When life shifts, shift with it. That is what this show is about. We talk about, and I really didn't finish that quote, but I'm going to finish it in a moment. But we talk about shift, and we love to hear the deep stuff. We love to hear the paradigm. We love to, the cliche of shift and what we think shifting is. But shifting is literally pivoting. Having a plan, something may or may not work, and knowing when to move or shift in or pivot in a different direction. When life shifts, shift with it. Your pivot is not your pause. It is your purpose. Your pivot is not your pause. It is your purpose. Okay. What is, and maybe just listening and say, okay, Joinae, what's the purpose of pivoting? Why do I need to pivot? Why can't I just go back to the drawing board and come up with a new plan and just forget everything, and start over? Two reasons often fall into or really go with pivoting, right? One is seizing an opportunity, right? Or responding to adversity. Seizing an opportunity or responding to adversity. Pivoting effectively requires clear goals, making a fast start, and ensuring the whole team is on board. Because remember, we talked about a team, right? A pivot is a change in strategy without a change in vision. And I need a Bible scholars just to go with me for a minute. Look at creation. Look at the beginning of the Word of God, where, we see Adam and Eve. We see their fall, right? And then God has to pivot and say, something, I'm going to send my son. I'm going to take a part of me and send it down in the earth. Pivot. He had an original plan, a vision of how the world would go, right? But things did not go according to how he wanted. So he had to pivot. Okay. You may say, Joinae, that's extreme. Okay, let's take it up a notch, right? Ruth and Naomi. Naomi was married with her sons, her two daughter-in-law. She had a husband, and all of them died. She was left with her two daughter-in-laws, right? One left, one stayed. And she had to navigate that difficult process and know the importance, or really understand what it means to pivot. Okay? Joseph and his brothers told them the dream. They sold this dude into slavery. Tried kill him. Was done with him. But he had to pivot. Even dealing with Potiphar's wife, have to pivot. Solomon, a man that we know full of wisdom, when the two women came before him with their babies saying, listen, this one steal this one, that one steal this one. And he's like, something, I'm going to try something different here, and I'm going to pivot. I'm going to pivot into wisdom, and I'm going to say, cut the child in half. And then we will know who is the mother. Abraham, and I'm giving you all of this information for scriptural reference, right? Abraham, get up, go to a country you don't know of. Pivot. I need to trust you enough to know that when I tell you, listen, the place where you are isn't working, it's time to shift. It's time to move. And we're almost at the end of the year, right? It's September, right? The second week in September at that. And you may have had a plan in January that isn't going to work in September. You may have had a plan out in March, and then November it needs to be revamped. You need to take a pause and reassess and revamp and reset and start, well, not really start over again, but start with a pivot. I want to give you some examples, and maybe you are a business owner. Maybe you're saying, listen, my business is not doing as good as I expected. My business should be further than, it is now. I feel like I have plateaued. I feel like I have, not grown. I feel that it's not working. I want to share some companies with you, and this was so insightful when I read it, right? Some companies that pivot. Did you know that YouTube originally was conceived as a video dating site, not the platform that we use today, right? There is a thing called Slack. It started as an internal communication tool for a gaming company, and it was changed into something else as a standalone service for other businesses. Okay, Netflix, and y'all know we love a good Netflix. Netflix began as a DVD mail rental service before pivoting into an online video streaming platform. All of these companies knew the importance. Well, listen, of pivoting. If we stay like this, if we stay with, we still have the original vision, we still have the original plan, but in order to get there, we need to pivot. And I really just want to pause right here because I think about the times in life. I mean, let me tell you something. Before anything happened in my life, before any platform, before anything, this is random, right? Before anything, I just used to practice my makeup in the mirror for nothing. I didn't know why I was doing it. I did not. It was, nothing special. I'm just gonna go on YouTube and I'm just gonna try some things, right? For those watching on Facebook or YouTube or even rewatching this broadcast, the face that I have on today, my makeup, took me 15 minutes. Not because I'm just so amazing, but because I practice. Because I understood, listen, that old way of looking, that old method that I was using was no longer working for me. I used to look dusty, y'all, dusty bad, right? And I realized, okay, well, in order for me to look the way I want to look or be who I want to be, I need to change this. Okay, let's take it a step further. Even in your personality, even in your communication, even in the way you adorn yourself, all of these things, all of these areas of your life, you will have to pivot in. Okay, let's take it a step further. Even in your spiritual journey, this level of discernment is okay. But to move to the next level, you have to pivot. Try something different. Try not letting go of the original vision. Sometimes, and maybe this is just me thinking aloud, right? But sometimes we hold on to the version of ourselves and we are stuck with our creative process. We are stuck in the realm that we're in. We're stuck in the season that we're in because we don't want to change. We don't want to try a different method. We don't want to try something new. We don't know if it's not going to work. We don't know if it's going to work. We don't know what's going to happen. And a lot of times that is our stumbling block. The unknown can be your stumbling block. When you pivot, you don't know if this is going to work. But what you do know, if I stay here, it's not going to work. If I go, it may not work, but let me take a chance and see if I can pivot in this direction. And there is someone listening today where you're saying, man, listen, Joinae, I lost my job. I lost everything. And I thought that I would be further by now. I thought that I would have more by now. I have so much bills. I have so much this. I have so much that. And maybe this adversity, remember we talked about there are two reasons for pivoting. You're seizing an opportunity or you're responding to adversity. A lot of times our response to adversity puts us back as opposed to propelling us forward. So anytime you come in to some conflict, some issue, some problem to solve, you immediately resolve back or resort back to what you know rather than trying to find a different strategy. Okay, let me give you two more examples. Did you know that Play-Doh, and I really did not know this, and it was so insightful. Play-Doh, as we know it today, it is a popular children's modeling clay, right? So, they roll it and they make different things. But it initially started as a non-toxic wallpaper cleaner. I think I read this somewhere where Crayola didn't start off as that either. And sometimes you can have a good idea, you can have a good vision, you can have, this amazing plan, but just needing to pivot. Okay. A pivot isn't failure, it's feedback. You don't have to keep doing something just because you once believed it was the right thing. And that's something that I believe many persons struggle with. You can, because you believe, okay, when we're selling our business idea, when we're selling or pitching, this vision that God is giving you, you are so sold out, you believe in it, but it's okay to maybe just pivot. Maybe it's just me. I'm just thinking aloud, just having a conversation with you, right? So first thing, a pivot is not failure. It's feedback. When you pivot, you say, okay, this, and I want to use Play-Doh, this as a wallpaper cleaner, eventually, based on the time, based on the season, based on the market, it will not work in 5 years' time. In the same way, you can say, okay, well, this thing that I'm doing, the market, it's closing up for it. I can do something else. I can repurpose this. I can repurpose all this knowledge. I can repurpose all of these things, right? It's sort of like cassette tapes into CDs, into iPods, into everything viewed on YouTube, right? I think that a lot of times we struggle with pivoting because we feel like it's failure. We feel like, okay, and we're going to get into it in a few, but you start to feel embarrassed because I believed in this dream. I believed in this thing. I pitched this to everyone around me. Everyone who knew me knew I started this business, and to watch this fail or for it not to work out means that I failed or I'm somehow a failure. The second thing I want to say to you is feelings may be valid. I'm not saying that you cannot be disappointed. Feelings may be valid, but let facts make the call. You cannot make calls from how you feel. When you choose to pivot, you can expect those emotions. You might experience fear. You might experience guilt or sadness or even shame, and that's normal. Emotions may give you the important signals, but don't let them be your sole decision makers. 3, consider this isn't regression. Perhaps it's mastery in motion. I remember when I left my job and I said, boy, I'm going to go full throttle into business. I am going to have this clothing line, and my business is doing well. And I was excited. I was clients coming in, requests, dressing, like, your girl was on it. I was clocking it, right? And it just stopped. And people would ask me, okay, what happened? What happened? We looking for this. We need a belt for this. We needed this for that. You was the person. And you have to deal with that guilt or that feeling like you have failed in order to move to your next step. I realized, okay, and I'm not saying this for everyone, but I realized, okay, maybe I need to go back to the drawing board and maybe I need to pivot in a different direction. And here I am talking with you every Monday through Friday, same time, same place, right here on Glory FM. But I say that to say, we can make decisions that at that time it worked. At that time, business was booming. At that time, I could have paid myself a salary. But things shifted. Times shifted. You end up with a child. You end up in, a financial situation. All of these things can happen. Reasons why people find it hard to pivot, and I want to highlight this for a few moments, is simply because of guilt and shame. Guilt says, I made a mistake. Shame says, I am the mistake. If you don't let go of people and their expectations for you and how people perceive you, it can cause you to get stuck in a place where you should have pivoted. We have a lot of persons with so much locked on the inside of them, so much greatness, like you can see who they're destined to be. But somewhere along the line, the guilt and the shame or the fall or the thing that, needs repair, it caused them to stay there and not pivot. You know something, what could really mess you up too? Feeling like you've invested too much time. Feeling like you've invested too much money. You ever heard that person who been with this dude for like 5 years or 10 years and say, oh, well, we've been dating. We've never really thought about getting married. And, I've just invested too much time. I have invested too much money. We've already, pooled our resources together. And I just can't see myself surviving without this person. So let me just stay. Although, it's not a good relationship. Feeling like you've invested too much money. Listen, this first shipment, my whole ASU draw. I spent all of it. And y'all know us Bahamians. We trying to get our money's worth. We got to get our money's worth because Jay from YouTube says 10 years dating is crazy work. It is what it is. We listen and we don't judge, right? But we've put ourselves in situations where we feel like, listen, I've invested too much time, too much money, too much of my life in this, and I am not moving. This is going to be exactly what I said it's going to be. And it causes you not to want to pivot. Again, pivot isn't failure. It is feedback. It tells you, listen, okay, this part of the plan was good, but you need a different strategy. This vision is good, but you need more help. This plan is good, but maybe you need to revisit marketing, maybe revisit branding, maybe relaunch, maybe do something else. All of these things are avenues where you can pivot. I want to share this with you because our time is almost come and gone, right? But I have to share this with you. And this is something that I started to even work on, and it is called cognitive reappraisal, right? Cognitive reappraisal. It helps you to reinterpret a situation from an expanded perspective. Now, remember we talk about, being reactive versus being responsive, right? And we talked about, self-mastery and mastering those emotions and emotional intelligence, all of these things, right? Cognitive reappraisal helps you interpret a situation from an expanded perspective, providing the mental flexibility that supports pivoting. It reduces, hear me good, emotional distress. It is also called reframing. When you reframe your mind, or when you take on this or try to expand your perspective, it's you saying, man, listen, okay, I thought that this would work. Let me not look at it as a failure. Let me look at it as a way to grow. Maybe me being fired wasn't for my bad. Maybe it was for my good. Maybe it was for me to open up a business and have these strategies and know how to pivot. Maybe that loss, maybe that illness, maybe that disappointment, maybe that betrayal, maybe it's teaching me something. Maybe and it's not really justifying maybe a wrongdoing, but it's putting yourself in a position to thrive and succeed even when bad things are done to you or bad situations arise. When you expand your perspective, it reduces that level of anxiety of failure. It reduces that stress. It reduces that shame and that guilt. Because you can say, man, listen, I should have been further. My business should have been further. My life should have been further. And I thought that if I followed the steps, I went to college, I got married, I had children, I did things the quote unquote right way. And I think I talked about this before, right? There is a video of this young lady, right? And she recently lost, I think maybe her mother and her father, her whole family. And they had a house, and she's in front of the judge. She has this job at a donut shop. I saw it on TikTok, right? She has this job at a donut shop, but she's still not making enough to sustain her in life, because the cost of living, whether we like to address it or not, it's expensive, right? Especially having a child, right? Or children, right? And she's in front of this judge, black humble man, and she seems to be giving what we would call an attitude. And if we go in front of any judge, as far as we're concerned, with that kind of attitude, we already accepting our fate. And man, listen, do what you have to do and do it quickly kind of vibe. And the judge started to question her, and he said, hey, what's going on? Why are you okay? You have a job? And she goes on to say, well, listen, I have a job, but I had to borrow clothes just to come to be appropriate for court. Then she says, I have to eat donuts from the shop that I work at because I don't have anything to eat. As a matter of fact, I have to sleep in a park or on a park bench because, my car was towed. And all these things she goes on and she tells the judge. And she makes a statement, and I promise you I'll never forget it. She makes a statement and she says, am I being punished? She said, because one moment ago, like 6 months ago, I was in a house. 6 months ago, I had a well-paying job. I had my family. Life was good. Oh, Jesus, I feel this. Oh, God, right? 6 months ago, everything was perfect. And now here I am, homeless, don't have nothing to eat, and barely have clothes to put on to show up to court to pay a bill that I don't have money to pay. And I say that to say that life will throw you some curveballs, and if you don't know how to pivot, you will suffer. If you don't know how to expand your perspective, taking on that mental flexibility, and sometimes you just have to get delusional and crazy enough to say, man, listen, whatever happens to me, whatever is taken from me, whatever is given to me, I can handle it. I can do it. Yes, this may be difficult. Yes, I don't know how this is going to happen, when this is going to happen, but I am going to master pivoting. I'm going to pivot in such a way that it always sets me up for success. I'm going to pivot in such a way that I can rise from the ashes. I can pivot in a way, and I always reference the scripture, right, with Joseph. Who would have thought that Joseph would end up where he was after being thrown in a pit, after being rejected by his family? You have to learn how to expand your mental capacity to shift, to pivot, to change direction. Not only that, in the same way, if you are driving and maybe you're listening via Glory FM today, right? You're driving and you have a meeting, let's say at 2 p.m., right? You have this meeting, you have to be there, and your tire, God forbid, Lord, I cover your tires in the blood, right? But your tire goes flat. How do you pivot? You give Nassau Garages a call and say, listen, I heard Joinae talking about you on the shift, and I need this tire repaired. I need this part on my car checked. Do you have this in stock? As a matter of fact, don't take my word for it. Give them a call today at 242-341-8643 or visit them online at NassauGaragesLimited.com. Okay, book your service and of course use the promo code NG Shift. I all of what we do, all of what we go through sometimes in life, we may need to pivot, and that's all right. There are times that I have to pivot. You wouldn't know, but there are times that I have to pivot. There are times that I have a plan and I say, no, something, maybe that's not the right direction. Learn to pivot. If there is nothing else that you remember from today's show, I want you to remember a few things. I'm gonna list them for you. Pivoting isn't failure, it's awareness. It gives you information. Life's curveballs may reroute you to something better. Sometimes it requires that job letting you go for you to walk into this new position on a different job or even your business. 2, use facts, not feelings. Your feelings are going to tell you everything but what you should do. You're going to be hurt. You're going to be embarrassed. You're going to feel like the world is coming to an end, because it could feel like that, especially us women. We dramatic like that. If for those watching, y'all saw I saw me rolling my eyes just now because, we brings the drama. That's all right, right? But our feelings will not influence our decisions. You can't allow what you feel, what you're going through, to cause you to respond in a way that's unfavorable for your destiny. 3, growth is not a straight line. Sometimes in order to grow, sometimes in order to get to a destination, you may have to take a side corner. You may have to detour. You may have to pivot. You didn't know that road work was going on East Street. You may not have known road work was going on West Bay Street. You may not have known road work is going on maybe on Shirley Street, wherever. But you learn to pivot because the destination doesn't change. But there are some things that you can learn along life's journey. Growth isn't linear. It isn't straight. It isn't a straight line. It isn't a 1, 2, 3 step. It isn't what you see someone else do. Everyone grows different. Loops and setbacks often signal deeper learning, not regression. What feels like a detour may be the path. What feels like a failure may be the path. Progress, and I want to leave you with this. Progress sometimes looks like dancing, not marching. Hey, Crystal. Progress sometimes looks like dancing, not marching. You gotta move. You gotta pivot just as your joints pivot. You have to move. You have to learn. Listen, life will throw whatever. Life will be life. But you will be you and God will be God. Know that whatever circumstance you find yourself in, you're going to make it. You're going to make it through. And if it requires pivoting, if it requires going back to the drawing board, let's do just that. Our time has come and gone, but of course, it's not your only opportunity to have a conversation or just get some insight on where you are right here on the shift every Monday through Friday, same time, same place, favorite station with your favorite person. Crystal says, I love this look. Thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, I am so thrilled to announce that this show today is sponsored by Nassau Garages. Until tomorrow, I want you to keep it locked and loaded, and we're going to just make this declaration that God's got me. Keep it locked and always loaded.
Been through trials, painful circumstances. I thought my life was over and I'd never make it. That's when Jesus stepped in, turned it around for my good. Thank God, He's got me. Now the road it had not been easy. I couldn't see my way, but God has been so faithful. He kept His promise and made a way out of no way. God's got me. God's got me. He never left my side. Wiped every tear that I cried. Today I can testify. God's got me. God's got me. Whoa, God's got me. God's got me. Now I'm walking in His favor. Grace is now abiding everywhere that I go. Doors have open for me. I'm so glad God's got me. God's got me. He never left my side. Wiped every tear that I cried.
Yes, it happens to the best of us when you drive luxury. You don't need stress, especially before the repairs start. What you need is a company that is dedicated to satisfaction. Existing for over 20 years, our team of professionals work from sun up to sundown, guaranteeing quality and excellence. No wonder Nassau Garages is Nassau's favorite. So, why wait? Leave your luxury vehicle in good hands.
He's got me, and that is what I need. He's got me. Oh, I will never leave. He's got
Listen to Glory 93.9 FM. 93.9 FM for the best mix of traditional, classic, country, contemporary, and Korean